The Footprints Conversations series feature discussions and insights from accomplished workplace and marketplace leaders and their experiences on key leadership principles. As believers, we are supposed to practice these biblical leadership principles in our workplace and marketplace to help us fulfill our calling. This week's Footprints Conversations focuses on part 1 of greed. As believers, we need to be conscious of the psychological and spiritual dimensions of greed in our workplace and marketplace. We have Messrs. Judas, Iscariot and Achan, whose names have become biblical symbols of greed, to help us unpack, reflect, and to learn from their experiences on greed. Please let's welcome them to the Footprints Conversations.
We are both surprised at this invitation, as we are usually regarded as social outcasts.
But if your audience could learn from our mistakes, it may be worth the invitation. We are happy to be here.
Let's start with you, Mr. Iscariot. As a believer and a disciple of Jesus, you had an enviable opportunity several believers yearn for: access, physical, personal and up-close relationship with the Lord. Why did you give away all these for 30 pieces of silver?
I was overpowered by greed. I want you and your audience to understand that greed is usually rooted in a strong sense of emptiness without purpose. Apart from the enviable opportunity you noted, I was also in charge of the money bag, the treasurer of Jesus' ministry. I had access to all the money coming into Jesus' ministry. So, what were 30 pieces of silver compared to these enviable opportunities and several pieces of gold and donations in the money bag? Simple. I was still empty and discontent, the roots of greed.
Thanks for the insight. Is this synonymous to the feeling of the glass being half empty?
Of course. I had the money bag filled with several pieces of gold and silver. But then that strong sense of emptiness made me look for more. Know that greed will never see the glass full. You may have billions in your bank account and still feel empty.
Can we then say greed thrives in the absence of contentment and satisfaction?
Somehow. But I will say greed goes beyond that. The strong sense of emptiness is embedded in the need for power, status, control, influence, success, and sometimes emptiness and hunger for things you cannot even put your finger on. You sometimes feel empty for no reason.
So based on your own experience, you think the persistent feeling of emptiness, even in the midst of abundance and opportunities, is the major root cause of greed?
Sure, I had access to the greatest power on earth. I was among the 12. Jesus' inner circle, a status many followers coveted for. I had control over the money bag. I should have counted myself as successful, influential, and basking in Jesus' popularity. As I said, what were 30 pieces of silver compared to all these?
You have some greedy people justifying it as a form of sickness, obsession, or demonic possession. Is this right?
We cannot blame any of that. Greed is a choice. Was the precious life of Jesus worth 30 pieces of silver? No. Greed is always blind to the actual value of people and relationships. I didn't care about my fellow disciples. I didn't care about my Master Jesus. I didn't care about anyone. It was a choice. All I cared about was more silver and more gold.
I am reflecting on all the men and women who were brought down because of greed. They had all the powers, status, control, influence than ordinary people, yet they wanted more.
Let me remind you that we are talking about greed. And that's what greed looks like. Greed always wants more at all costs.
Talking about wanting more at all costs, this is the right time to bring in Mr. Achan to talk about consequences of greed. Is greed blind to consequences? Mr. Achan, please help us here.
Unfortunately, yes. Greed does not see beyond the grabbing. When I was grabbing the 50 shekels of gold, 200 shekels of silver, and the beautiful Babylonian garments, I wasn't thinking of the consequences.
If you don't mind, can you share some of the consequences of your greed?
Israel experienced a significant victory in Jericho, which was a fortified city but lost to Ai, a mere village. For the benefit of those who don't read your Bible, Ai is a village we fought with and not artificial intelligence. The defeat at Ai was because of my greed. I didn't think of the several lives that would be lost in the battle as a result of my greed. I didn't think of the mothers, fathers, wives, and children who may have been affected by my greed. I only thought of grabbing and not the destructive consequences.
Greedy politicians, government officials, and businesspeople should know that your greed will have destructive consequences. It may have caused accidents from the money you grabbed that could have maintained the road. It may have killed people who could have enjoyed better medical treatment from the money you grabbed that could have built the hospital. Yes, your greed would certainly have destructive consequences.
You are right. And let me add that a greedy person will never go unpunished. Your greed will blow up one day in a scandal, shame, or even death. I brought shame and death to my wife, children, and even my livestock and other assets. We were all burnt with fire when I was found out. The consequences of greed spill out and negatively affect others.
I want your audience to know that you will not live to enjoy the bounties from your greed. Just as my colleague Mr. Achan did not live to enjoy all that he grabbed and hid with greed, I didn't live to enjoy the 30 pieces of silver either. You will grab with greed, but you will not have peace, health, or even live longer to enjoy what you grabbed out of greed.
Thank you, Mr. Iscariot and Mr. Achan, for this sobering discussion and reflection about the root causes of greed and some of the consequences. We would really appreciate your availability next week to use your experience to help us discover the warning signs and how to control and handle greed in our workplace and marketplace. Till then, please let's show our appreciation to them.
If this Footprints conversation has been a blessing to you, pass it on to be a blessing to others. Are you a believer committed to fulfilling your professional calling at your workplace and marketplace? We have several resources to help you do that. Just subscribe at the YouTube channel for you to receive new resources we create every week. If you have creative arts talents too, get in touch and let us yield it to the Lord to use it to impact lives for His glory.